And so this is the Center for Mindful Living platform. I often teach on Saturday mornings as well, and every third Sunday. So warm welcome again. And the theme that I chose for today, and I did send out an email perhaps a little bit late, but the theme is beginner's mind. And in Zen, in Japanese, it's Shoshin, Shoshin, beginner's mind. So that'll be the theme. And the run of show today is our fairly standard format. But for those of you who are new, we will begin with a meditation that will last about 30 minutes. And then we'll segue right into movement because we've been sitting for a while, movement with Emily. And then we'll come back for a short chat or Dharma share and talk a little bit more on the beginner's mind and some of the teachings from the Buddhist lineage around beginner's mind and right view, sort of bringing those two together. And hopefully it will be in a way that you find informative and helpful, not only in your practice, but also your daily life. And then we'll have a closing and we'll share any announcements before we go on with the rest of our day. So hopefully that sounds good. And so just noting that some people are just tuning in and joining right now. I do want to begin this Sunday session very slowly and actually have the whole session be ease, of ease, and also sort of slow and no rushing. So I'll do my best to regulate myself that I set that model for all of you. So in that spirit, as we're coming to this place, this community of a shared practice, just take a few moments right here in the beginning to tune into yourself, to go inward, to slow down from everything that's going on around you and within you. And just check in with yourself. How are you? Really, how are you doing? No need to touch the keyboard or write any words in the chat. We can leave that for later. I want to take some time now really to slow down, to practice being at ease, really to welcome it. And it's helpful to begin by really mentally noting how you're doing in this moment. And as I mentioned, the theme for today is beginner's mind, or Shoshin. It's a central concept in the Zen practice. It invites us to approach life with openness, with curiosity, and without preconceptions. To embrace a beginner's mind is to see everything with fresh eyes, like you're seeing things for the very first time. Another really important aspect of beginner's mind is to be more aware of the mind and how we think. And so I've been practicing with beginner's mind in the morning when I first wake up. And I notice my habitual mind, where that wants to go. It wants to go to the news, to my phone, to check things. And then I just notice that. And I sit with it. I sit with that pull. Or if you like, a distraction from the moment. And then I just have to think about those two words, beginner's mind. And just that concept points my mind toward approaching each moment, each thought, as if it's new and fresh, and being curious about it, especially if it's habitual or repetitive. And then I'm like, wow, okay, that's interesting. This allows me to sort of step back in that observer mode and just notice all the myriad things, as we were mentioning in the opening, or when we were beginning to gather, all the myriad things arising and falling. Just a simple, open approach. And then in some time, I can also notice a sense of freedom arising from this approach. So let's begin our practice of meditation. If you haven't already found a comfortable seated position or lying down, spend some moments doing that. And some pointers for the posture. If you're seated upright, you want to find a position that's in balance, allowing your body to balance between comfort and being upright. Allowing the lower part of your body to feel supported by the earth, and your spine and crown of your head to be reaching upward toward the sky, that unlimited, boundless sky. Allowing the shoulders maybe to roll a few times. Allowing a more relaxed posture with the shoulders down the back. And feeling that your head is balanced on top of your spine, chin tucked slightly, allowing the neck muscles to release. Eyes softening away from any screens. Hands resting comfortably in the lap. Front body open. Open for the breath. Back body strong, holding you upright. The intention here is to collect and unify the mind, body, to be awake and to be present, and allowing the thoughts to be in the background, like whispers. So I'll lead you now through a lightly guided meditation practice. One inviting more ease and calm to the mind body. Inviting you to feel the breath, breathing in and breathing out. And just noticing this natural breath cycle. The wonder, the awe of the body breathing. Turning your attention as best as you can to this feeling. Nothing else to do, nowhere else to go. A sense of well-being in this moment. Gratitude for making the time to be here. And gratitude for this beautiful collection of people coming together. To share this practice. Through the focus on your breathing, are you able to allow your mind body to relax, to calm itself? The first few minutes may be the most difficult, the most challenging. And this is when we just want to step back and notice. Notice any sensations in the body, feelings, emotions, thoughts. Can you allow them just to flow by, noticing the impermanence generating the observer, your internal guide. The observer of the sensations, the thoughts, knowing you're not your thoughts. You're not your thoughts. But if they're strong enough to pull you away, or you get lost in thought, or distraction on the outside, don't worry about it. And when you can, just recognize that you've been pulled away, distracted. And gently bring yourself back, like a good friend, to the breath. To the breathing. And focus your concentration on this simple instruction. Breathing in, breathing out. And do this with kindness. Kindness toward yourself. This kindness helps prime the mind. Gladdening the mind. Being here. No regrets. No past. No future. No ego. Just sitting in open, curious awareness. Just sitting in open, loving awareness. And this is where you have the most influence in this mind, right here, right now. And in these next minutes, relying on this inner guidance, appreciating the stillness, the silence, of just sitting. No matter how often your attention wanders, it's always possible to begin again with kindness, with compassion, calming your nervous system, allowing the mind body to settle with the breath, clearing the mind as best as you can. There could be an arrow in the body, a strong emotion, a fear, but there need not be an arrow in the mind. And cultivating some loving kindness and metta in the closing of our meditation. Just silently repeating this phrase. May I be open to all the love in my heart. May I be open to all the love in my heart. And then widening the circle and sending this wish to everyone here today. May we be open to all the love in our hearts. May we be open to all the love in our hearts. And we can extend this wish out further, touching all beings. May we all be open to all the love in our hearts. May we all be open to all the love in our hearts. May this be so. Deep bow and thank you for your practice. Thank you for showing up today and sharing your practice. slowly bringing some movement back to your body. No rush. Opening your eyes. And just noticing, like we did at the beginning, just noticing how you feel. How are you? And so, beginner's mind, once again, this concept of Shoshin, open, curious mind, like a child almost, seeing things with fresh eyes. And it also is an opportunity, as we did in the meditation practice, to spend more time with your mind and start learning about your mind. How does it actually work? Inviting that type of curiosity. How does the mind lead to suffering? The thoughts. And how may I be more open and curious to what I'm actually experiencing? And practicing more intentionally with ease. This is something I love, with slowing down. And that ease opens up a little bit more space. And that also comes with acceptance. And mindfulness is really essential. It opens space for right view. And I'm not sure how many of you practice or study the Eightfold Path. But the first element of the Eightfold Path is right view or right understanding. And it is really a fundamental element that helps with navigating the Eightfold Path to sort of liberation from suffering. And so the right view, if you will, begins with understanding the Four Noble Truths. And I know that if you've been coming to the Center for Mindful Living Sangha for quite some time, we've been focusing in the most recent past on the Four Noble Truths. And for those who may be new or need a reminder, the Four Noble Truths were really the first teachings of the Buddha on his path. And that is that first there's the truth of suffering. There is suffering. Second is the truth of the origin of suffering, just noticing the craving, the clinging, the wanting things to be different as they are, and how this leads to suffering. And the third is the truth of the end of suffering. The fourth is the truth of the path to the end of suffering, the Eightfold Path, and the practices that lead to the end of suffering. And right view and right understanding in this whole sort of system, if you will, is often referred to as wisdom. So it involves seeing things as they truly are, free from the delusion or misunderstanding or ignorance or attachment. And this is where I really love the beginner's mind, of being open, curious, and not attached or too strongly attached to your views. And this really helps us with right view, the clinging that we may have to our thoughts, what we believe is true. And the practice of right view also involves making a choice, moment by moment, not to focus our gaze on how we always want things to be, that clinging that can cause suffering, or that craving, and not to ignore the parts that we wish weren't there, that pushing away, but also not to close our eyes. Once again, the story of the Buddha really takes off when he was a young prince and he leaves his home of luxury and he goes off on his own. He sees things. He sees sickness. He sees old age. He sees death. He sees suffering of the human being. And he also grasps that these are basic conditions of all beings. All beings will experience sickness, old age, and death. So in just one day, he goes from ignorance of this reality to knowledge, and then to a commitment to change his life in accordance with what he knows. And this is the teaching of the Four Noble Truths, or sometimes the Four Inconvenient Truths. And so it's also a part of our practice, and we can just take a moment to do this now. Just bringing into our mind's eye our loved ones, family, friends, extending that out to other people, people in the news, extending to our pets, animals we care for. And then also our own face in the mirror. And bringing what we know to be the truth to the forefront. That we know that each of these beings are of the nature to get sick. Each of these beings are of the nature to grow old. And each of these beings are of the nature to die. And just pausing with this and taking in a deep breath. And allowing yourself to feel the enormity of it. Knowing what you know. And that choice to stay with what is hard, that's right view. That's right view. Understanding of these Four Noble Truths lead into the other elements of the path. And to balance this out, and as a kind reminder, I'll just name those other elements. of the Eightfold Path. And I would also offer this as homework after the session if you can't name these other elements yourself. I do recommend reviewing them, writing them down, reflecting on them for your practice. So the second element of the Eightfold Path after right view or understanding is right thought, compassion, goodwill, avoiding greed, hatred, and delusion. And then there's right speech. And that's refraining from lying, harsh language, and speaking truthfully and kindly. The fourth then is right action. Engaging in ethical conduct, promoting peace, promoting well-being. That's right action. And the fifth is right livelihood. And to the best of our abilities and opportunities in a capitalist economy, I have to add, is ensuring a living through honest and ethical means. The sixth is right effort. Right effort, cultivating positive qualities and abandoning negative ones, and striving to maintain a balanced and mindful approach to life with right effort. The seventh is right mindfulness, being present and aware of thoughts, feelings, emotions, actions without judgment. And this is what we practice a lot here, the center. For mindful living, right mindfulness. It also helps us cultivate a state of more calm and equanimity. And the eighth element of the Eightfold Path is right concentration. Also what we develop through our practice. And that's a mental focus and concentration through meditation. That's just one part, right? The seated meditation is really just one part of this path. But it does help us lead to these deeper states of insight and deeper states of understanding and in the mind, like we were doing today with the beginner's mind. And circling back to that concept of beginner's mind, I want to share this quote from a Zen master, Shunryu Suzuki. I'm not sure many of you may be familiar with his book from 1970, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. There's a resource. And he is quoted as saying, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. And so we can practice with this. And here are a few examples. One is, using your curiosity and really like sit down and try to explain a theory or an idea to yourself or to someone else. Something that you're curious about or learning about. And this will help you get a more realistic sense of actually what you know and what you don't know. I feel like I do this every time I teach meditation and prepare for a Dharma talk. It really does help me determine what I know and what I don't know about the Dharma, which is, the Dharma is vast and what I don't know is also vast. And the second practice would be debate with yourself. We tend to seek out knowledge and information that's consistent with our views or our worldview and beliefs. And this is, as many of us may know, this concept is also like confirmation bias. So trying to be more aware of this in our own minds, in our own thinking. And you can debate your views with yourself by seeking out evidence or arguments that challenge your current views. And note a time when your views have changed. I'm just going to share a really quick example of this that happened just a couple days ago, which is really maybe a little bit out of the norm of a Buddhist practitioner, but I was curious. A friend of mine invited me to go to a class on gun safety. And so I went. I wanted to learn more about this. I was curious. And then I saw that the class was using a PowerPoint by the NRA. Is that the National Rifle Association? I know it's like guns, right? Okay, Rifle Association. Okay, so that's how much I know. And then, okay, I'm curious about this. What's the NRA going to say about guns? They said a lot, but like what I came away with, the most important thing of that entire training that was repetitive over and over was all about gun safety and gun handling and really approaching a firearm with the right attitude. I thought that was very interesting, not to approach it with the wrong attitude, especially in relation to its use. And when it's not in use, you keep it unloaded, you keep it in a lockbox. And so that was really like, wow, okay, that did challenge my thinking about gun ownership and those who are gun owners, especially if they're trained. That was really informative. And I would say it changed my views a little bit, especially if someone is a responsible owner and using it for, not to harm people or animals, but maybe to do some target practice, if you will. Okay. The third practice, and I'll leave you with this one, is look at the stars. Maybe even tonight, gaze out at the night sky or take a walk in nature. Listen to a stirring symphony. And these are activities that invoke in you potentially an emotion of awe, wonder at the enormity and the beauty in this world. And this will often increase your feelings of humility and may inspire a more open beginner's mind, beginner's perspective. And so that's what I have for you as a little Dharma talk, Dharma share on beginner's mind, right view, and following the Eightfold Path. I hope you found some of that informative. Thank you for listening.